he walks around with these t-shirts and these silly clothes, not realizing that he's actually making a fool out of himself.
And nothing's better than when you sort of turn up to like Good Morning Britain, for example, and they tell you that your opponent's Femi, because you just know it's an easy win. It feels so great.
At number 30 on the countdown of the worst people in the UK today, up one position from last year, it's that Brexit-hating virgin Femi Oluwole. Another year on, and the most annoying left-wing TV pundit of them all is still dashing around left and right-wing political events. No one wants him inside, dressed in inappropriately tight t-shirts while banging on about Brexit. A sad, tedious, and meaningless life. Sophie Corcoran, when is this guy gonna get a real t-shirt and get a real job too?
You know what? I'm so surprised that he is not higher up on the list, but then I, admit that it's quite a congested list of the worst people in Britain. But my favourite moment of Femi that I really wanted to share with you is, do you remember during COVID when he said that he serenaded his girlfriend on his Casio piano?
That's right. And I'm like, girlfriend?
I can't stop laughing.
I don't believe it, by the way. I don't believe it.
What a guy. I mean, could you imagine if you were on a date in the middle of a park during COVID with Femi, of all people, and you started being serenaded by, like, what is it, hot cross buns on his Casio piano? What would you do?
Run. I would run. And based in Bougie, isn't it really unfortunate that we have this group of people? Steve Bray was number 49 in the countdown on Monday. And they are like people who just will not accept a democratic vote. Remember, the vote to leave the European Union was the biggest democratic vote in the history of this country. And is it not the most sad existence, trying to deny a democratic vote that happened years and years and years ago? That's not how democracy works. Get over it, move on. Start your campaigning for other things. Try and get a pro-European Union party elected into parliament. But to constantly try and overturn a democratic vote, there is actually a real dark side to that, right?
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of victimization. Victimization just cannot accept that it is wrong. It just cannot accept, the fact that somebody has defeated them. So what he does is he walks around with these t-shirts and these silly clothes, not realizing that he's actually making a fool out of himself. And I think he just needs to accept the fact that Brexit was successful, and he just kind of needs to just shut up and accept it, because he is making a fool out of himself.
I know. And Sophie, seriously, there is something almost deranged, I think, in the fact that the mainstream media will still continue to platform such a single issue lunatic. I have no problem with it, by the way, if they want to, but I just find it quite extraordinary, given that, let's be honest, Femi Oluwole is an extremist. He's on the fringes.
I think nothing's better than when you sort of turn up to like Good Morning Britain, for example, and they tell you that your opponent's Femi, because you just know it's an easy win. It feels so great, because I've been on, I think I've been on a couple of times with him. I was on GMB with him, and he's just so easy to tear apart. I mean, the guy's probably like, I can't believe how old he is, by the way. I mean, he's quite a bit older than me, and he still behaves like a child. But it's just astonishing. Like, how are they still there? I mean, I used to get chased down the street by Steve Bray and the small one with the Bray shoving her camera in your face when you're trying to go somewhere. It's like, come on, man, give it up now. How long has it been? You know what I mean? Like,
but there's also something quite creepy about that, right? Some weird old Larry man chasing after a young female. What? Because you were a Brexit supporter. By the way, Sophie, when I was doing my research, I found out that Steve Bray is only 55. That was very shocking to me.
Yeah, I mean, I love it when my favourite thing being young in politics is when the deranged Ramonas are like, well, you voted for Brexit. And in actual fact, I didn't. I was like in year 8, so quite, which is really fun. But yeah, how is he?
Okay, that makes me feel incredibly old.
Not as old as Steve Bray or Femi, for that matter, who is a lot older than he should perhaps be acting. But yeah, how is he he's someone who's, and by the way, he's really privileged, by the way. He did like an internship in Europe and all of this kind of stuff. So he plays the victim quite well, but in actual fact, he's far more privileged than I am. So for someone who likes to rattle on about white privilege, he's got a much more privileged life than I have. So quite hypocritical, actually. Oh God, don't even put him up there. I don't even want to see him. I see him on my feet sometimes.
Sorry, yeah. I just had to tell people that guy is really 55, believe it or not. Okay, moving on to number 29 in the countdown. She has dropped 5 positions from last year. It's Scheming Sturgeon, the ex-First Minister of Scotland. Her devastating fall on the countdown aligns with the devastating destruction of her once glittering political career. While finally cleared by Scottish police after a lengthy investigation, Queen Nick, or so her supporters used to call her, she wishes, ditched her ex-SNP CEO husband at his lowest moment and quit politics altogether. She's now seen gracing the Scottish stand-up circuit with lesbian pals. Meanwhile, Scottish independence has never been so far away. And I have to say, based in Bougie, there is something quite beautiful about seeing the political career of Scheming Sturgeon finished. She's just another lefty celebrity now. She ditched her husband when it was no longer politically necessary for her to have the guy by her side. I think she is a truly vile human being who received the comeuppance she deserved.
What's so fascinating to me is the fact that they are calling this woman a queen. What is queen behavior about leaving a person at their worst when it no longer benefits you? I think this is the hypocrisy of women in politics, is that they come on stage and they act like they're all these like righteous women and they're all for women's rights. Mind you, she actually ruined the rights of women in Scotland. And yet she's also the same person to just ditch her husband at their worst. This is not the perfect example of people. And I also saw something online, I may be wrong, but her sister may have released information about I believe the princess's diagnosis 30 minutes before it was actually released.
Yes.
So what about that is queen behavior? A queen is somebody that knows when to stay silent. So yeah, I think she's just a vile woman.
Yes, indeed. That's a very good point. Her sister is very sneaky on social media. That was awful. Sophie Corcoran, of course, it's very odd to see this reinvention of Sturgeon as some type of Scottish stand-up comedian. Unfortunately, Sophie, and some people might think that I'm too harsh, but I will never, ever forget what that woman did during the COVID scam, because she used a virus, and whether you believe in lockdowns or not, and obviously, as you know, I was very much opposed to them, but she used that period to try and drive division between Scottish and English people, to try and create a fake border between the two countries, and even, Sophie, to spread a complete lie that it was the English that had somehow infected Scotland with COVID, when in fact, it was actually a lot of her mismanagement of an international conference very early on in the course of the pandemic that resulted in their big outbreak. But to me, that was below the belt, it was beyond the pale, and it showed that this is a woman who actually doesn't give a damn about humanity. All she cares about is politics and increasing her popularity.
Yeah, we don't often get to celebrate good news here on your show because, of course, the state of our country at the minute. But there is some good news in the sense that all of the COVID dictators, Dan, are now gone. We've said goodbye to ScoMo. We've said goodbye to Dan Andrews. We've said goodbye to Trudeau. We said goodbye to Jacinda the Witch. We said goodbye to Nicola Sturgeon. They're all gone.
But first, this episode of Outspoken is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. Every man knows the unbeatable feeling of a fresh barbershop shave. But what if I told you that you no longer have to wait weeks or even months between appointments to experience it? Introducing Manscaped's newest innovation, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver, the game-changing tool that brings the luxury of a professional shave right into your home. So whether you're after that daily silky smooth finish or prefer to maintain a rugged 5 o'clock shadow, like me, the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver, trust me, is your go-to for precision and style every time. So I had loads of shaving mishaps in my past, but I absolutely love using Manscaped. It has improved my grooming routine no end, and actually my confidence with it. What makes the Chairman Pro stand out is its versatility and precision. So there are 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. There's the skin-safe 4-blade foil for when you want a close, smooth shave. But then if you want the stubble look like me, you can just switch to the skin-safe stubble trimmer. Both heads designed with skin-safe technology, which helps reduce razor burn. I never get it anymore. Or irritation. I never get that anymore either. So it actually leaves my skin feeling smooth and comfortable after every stage. Reduces redness and discomfort too. There's Flex Adjust technology, which ensures a superior shave by allowing both blades and the pivoting head to seamlessly adapt to the unique contours of your face. It's also gentle on the neck area too. You're going to love this as well. It's waterproof, which means you can use it in the shower, or if you don't want to use it in the shower, but you want to rinse it off very easily, you can just do so in the sink and you are all set. So get the Chairman Pro today. Experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Head on over to Manscaped and join the over 11 million men worldwide, including me, who trust Manscaped by using the code Outspoken for free shipping and 20% off. That's manscaped.com, using the code Outspoken for free shipping and a whopping 20% discount on your entire order. But now, back to the show.
Right,
that is a
positive
thing. That is a positive thing, because what they did over that period was just so awful. And I guess the other positive thing, Sophie, is that actually Scottish independence has never been such a pipe dream. She destroyed it for her own ego.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show that politics does come around, and it may have taken a couple of years, but the world has made it their view clear, and that all of those leaders eventually got their comeuppance. It does come around, and that's something that we should hold on to. But also, I mentioned, you said about her stand-up career, her entire political career was essentially comedy. I remember one of her best COVID rules was that we should cut off the bottom of school classroom doors. I mean, she was just totally insane. She said, I did a presentation at uni about the ridiculous COVID rules for one of my modules, and it was on there that the SNP suggested that we should chop off the bottom of school classroom doors during COVID. I mean, she was absolutely nuts, this woman, and I really don't think that she deserved the dignity of resigning. I think that they should have thrown her out. I think she got off far too lightly.
Like our Dern, too gutless to actually allow the people who were so furious to cast them out. And Base and Bougie, I remember being in Scotland quite a lot over that period, and the types of rules that Sophie is talking about were utterly insane. So you're allowed to go into a bar, but the bar was not allowed to play music. I mean, she is like a little dictator, right? And now she's a little dictator with no one to rule and lord over.
I just can't believe the COVID period was actually real. I just cannot believe that we were actually trying to convince ourselves that if we stepped within an inch this way, within an inch that way, we would actually get sick and potentially die. And what's so insane is that if you actually look at the statistics, the people who actually got vaccines and followed these ridiculous rules, they're actually getting more sicknesses and illnesses and deaths more than the people who didn't get the vaccine. Another thing I find fascinating is that a lot of these people, they were promoting the COVID vaccine, and I highly doubt that she even got the vaccine herself. So they all do these things for just political gain. And the COVID era was just, sometimes I can't believe it was real. Sorry.
No, I don't. I can't. I couldn't believe it was real at the time. And I mean, I remember once, because she had all of these ludicrous mask rules, and And I think she was at some type of event and she took her mask off and then she had to apologize. It's like, you have just been hoisted by your own petard, lady. But the thing is, this idea that Sturgeon is some type of nice guy in all of this, absolutely not. I don't use this word lightly, but she was an evil leader. She has completely run Scotland into the ground as a nation. And I will be sickened if she continues to get the kid glove treatment from the mainstream media as she goes on her publicity tour for her new autobiography, frankly. But let me tell you, quite frankly, that is what I expect to happen. At number 28, Jess Phillips, a new entry for the perma-man hater. So desperate is Phillips to protect the Muslim vote, given how close she came to a sectarian candidate beating her at last July's election, she has been prepared to throw her infamous moral superiority out the window. Like when she defended masked men holding Palestinian flags who threatened a Sly News journalist during the so-called riots after the Southport massacre last year, and when asked on LBC about the Muslim men hectoring her during her campaign, she said the real issue was just men in general. I find her, Sophie Corcoran, utterly disgraceful because she couldn't call out the Islam extremists who were putting her under serious threat. She couldn't call them out. But instead, she was more than happy to slag off every man in the country because being a man hater is now just completely acceptable.
Yeah, and of course, there was something, because obviously we had this big Rupert Lowe scandal that's kind of taken over a lot of the airwaves. Something that sort of went missing with Jess Phillips is that she has broken the parliamentary standards rules for expensive 3 separate times. Why on earth does an MP get to break it 3 times? I mean, how many more times, right? How many more slap on the wrist should they get? Sometimes new MPs break them at the beginning of their term because they don't know what they're doing. Fine, but she is an experienced MP. She has been there for absolutely donkeys. How many more times is she going to get away with it? In my view, they should just throw her out. Throw her out. She can't keep getting away with breaking the rules. I mean, if it was a Tory MP, they'd have been slung out of the Commons by now. Just saying.
No,
and
it's so
went
true.
unnoticed in the media.
It's so true. But she is one of the media's favourites, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, she did. I don't know if she still does. I think they changed her out because she got a cabinet position. She did that podcast with Beth Rigby, and can't remember who else was on it. But so she's one of the sort of, news agent type people, very loved in the media. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to be controversial in the sense that sometimes I like her as a character in the Labour Party. I think she's one of the few that aren't completely bland and boring, but she's gotten away with far too much in terms of breaking the parliamentary rules. And I think, she should have really been sacked from her position for a comment. I can't remember what it was made, but she made an outrageous comment and wasn't sacked for it. And sometimes I'm just like, why does everyone give Jess Phillips a pass? And I think one of the reasons is because she's one of the most sort of, she's got the most character out of a lot of the Labour MPs. A lot of them, like Keir Starmer, are so intensely boring. Jess Phillips is not, and I'll give her that. But she's gotten away with far too much, personally.
Yeah, and very good point, by the way, mentioning her Sly News podcast. Look at this. It was originally with Ruth Davidson and Beth Rigby, and it was called Electoral Dysfunction. And again, based in Bougie, isn't that just another example? I mean, some people say it's funny, but isn't that just another example of man hating? And she truly, truly does seem to hate all men, Jess Phillips. And it's almost accepted now in the mainstream media that it's okay to just make these sweeping negative statements about men.
Well, first off, I just wanted to say, I'm not sure if anyone has actually ever noticed, but she kind of looks like Ian Bill from EastEnders, which I find to be... Sorry, I just can never unsee it, but she literally looks like Ian Bill. Second of all, I find it hilarious that she started this show, whoever co-produced it, calling it dysfunctional, when really and truly she's the dysfunctional one. She defended somebody that was almost about to put her life at risk. However, she decided to decline an investigation. An investigation.
We've just put some pictures of Jess Phillips up on screen for you, based in Bougie.
So horrible.
I'm so sorry. I'm
Sorry,
so
I
sorry.
interrupted you. Go on.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people are not going to unsee that now. But yeah, so she defended someone who was waving a Palestinian flag. However, but she refused to do an investigation towards the grooming scandal. I don't get it. And if she hates men so much, she should hate men enough to actually proceed with the grooming scandal that affected a lot of young girls. This is what I mean when I say a lot of these fake feminists, they pick and choose. They pick and choose when women's rights is important. Because when it comes to the grooming scandal, she absolutely pretended like it wasn't a big deal. But when it comes to just hating men just out of the blue and just making these remarks, that's when she has all this energy. And I just feel like she's the dysfunctional one.
She is. She's totally dysfunctional. And I will never forgive her during that LBC interview when she was quite clearly asked. I watched her speech live on election night. She was being hectored and heckled brutally by Muslim men. And it was Muslim men who had run that sectarian campaign, which very, very nearly saw her lose her seat. And we know Jonathan Ashworth, the Labour MP, who would have been in the cabinet, lost his seat in similar circumstances. And rather than just saying, yep, there was an issue, she said, well, I'm not even going to think about that because to me, this is all just about men. So effectively, totally acceptable for Jess Phillips to hate on white men. That's what we're talking about here.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.